Okay, the child, if you're carpooling, getting ready, they miss the bus, or we have the problems. We miss the bus. Get in the car. We have to go. Let's go. Let's go. What can parents do? How can you help the
Yeah,
parents?
and the answer to that really does depend on whether or not they are riding a bus or whether or not they are getting a ride from you.
Okay.
So let's take the way that you drive the kids to school and they're not ready. So first of all, if you have more than one child, you cannot make exceptions just for one child because then everybody in the family ends up being late. They can eat in the car, they can put their shoes on in the car. They may be able to get missing items into their backpack. There's some things that they can do in the car. The natural consequence is that when it's time to walk out the door, they need to walk out with whatever they have ready. And then we just reveal that they're going to experience the consequence of that. And again, we want to follow through without saying, I told you so. That's the hardest part of that. I told you if you didn't, da, da, da. But that's the hardest part because as soon as we say, well, I told you so, and I da 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 da, we're starting to nag, we're starting to lecture, and it's taking the lesson away from the child of being matter of fact. I know that's frustrating that you did. Maybe when you get home, we can figure out a way that you can remember that. That's really being constructive and working towards a solution rather than just berating the child, the whole way there. Now, if the kids, you have more than one, are arguing over what seat to sit in, and they're standing outside the car arguing, and this is taking forever, what you want to do with that is, first of all, have not at that moment. At that moment, nobody sits in the front seat. When you get home, they need to sit down and they need to come up with a rotation plan that all of them, I won't say both, could be more than one, that all of them can agree to. You really want them to be coming up with a plan, and most school-age children are capable of doing that. You can help facilitate that, kind of mediating that conversation so that it's a fair agreement, but you don't want to step in and solve it for them, because then you're going to be constantly refereeing that and you're constantly in that. They need to learn how to work this out for themselves. So until they work it out, nobody sits in the front seat. And then hopefully you don't get into that. That gets into a whole nother workshop on siblings. If they're, he's touching me and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of a whole nother workshop. But bottom line is it involves sibling mediation that you can do with those situations.
Now, what to do in a situation, chronic lateness, but becomes a truancy problem?
Oh, good. Oh, and actually, I think I forgot to talk about buses.
Oh,
So, yeah,
ahead.
my fault, my bad. Okay, so we got the car. So let's just cover buses a little bit because that's probably going to be a big problem for parents also. If they miss the bus and you have to drive them, then automatically they've decided to get up earlier the next day. Because they need more time. Again, remember to use that language. You're showing me you need more time. I'll know that you've decided. If you do end up driving them, then you want to institute what I call a 3-strike policy, which is only 3 times a school year will I deliver homework, deliver a lunch, or drive you to school. And the first time you just do it, you take them or you deliver it. And then when they get home, you say, so what could you do differently? And we've already talked about how that conversation would go. The second time, you take it to them and you reveal to them, you remind them, you've only got one more time that I'm going to deliver this or take you there. The third time, then you're going to reveal the consequence if there's a next time. This is your last time, and then you reveal the consequence of what it will be. The fourth time, you simply follow through with the consequence. They will either have to get along without what they forgot. If you have to drive them to school, then you've got a couple of options. They can pay you a taxi fee. They don't have to pay in money. They can pay you in chores. They can trade a chore for you. They may owe you that much time in chores. If you have to drive them, and that's not normally the way that they get to school, then that means that you could end up being late. And they need to understand that as a consequence if you have to go to work. So there are ways that you can trade. And that payment is going to be in addition to getting to bed earlier and getting up earlier. So generally speaking, the parents who have used this and they use all the tools and they follow through consistency, it's very rare that kids will go beyond about the second time. Most of them don't want to use up their 3rd strike. So, and again, it's not, you don't want to handle this in well, if you do this again, I'm going to, and you're going to have to, but you really need to be matter of fact. I'm going to do this, but this needs to end, you know, and just very matter of fact in the way that we present them. That kind of goes back to our discipline. We'll refer them back to that TV show about how to do discipline respectfully.